Hello guys and welcome to episode 71 of the Beat Your Backlog Podcast, a podcast discussing things gamers like to put off, get to another day, and oh yes, will definitely beat later their backlog. I'm your host Adam, and today we are putting the pedal to the metal in one of the most anticipated games ever, Mario Kart World. The game was released on the same day as the Nintendo Switch 2, June 5th, and was obviously Nintendo's biggest first-party game for their new console's launch, or really their only first-party game, apart from that weird little Nintendo manual game that they released, which I can't remember the name of. This was the big game that they were launching the Nintendo Switch 2 with. And the strategy of launching a new Mario Kart with the Switch 2 seems to have been extremely successful, with it being recently reported on the Kind of Funny Games Daily podcast that the game has a 96% attachment rate with Switch owners, which is absolutely insane. And if you're not sure what that means, it basically means 96% of people that bought a Nintendo Switch 2 also bought Mario Kart World. And I think, if I remember correctly, it wasn't even sure if that included the bundle. So I think that was maybe without the bundles. So just people that bought a regular Switch then went and bought Mario Kart World on top of that, so which is crazy to me, as we'll get onto a little bit in this episode. Furthermore, the game seems to be resonating with fans, as it is currently sitting at an impressive 86 on Metacritic. Though, as we'll get into again in the episode, I thought the review score should have been in the mid-90s rather than the mid-80s. And to be honest, my history of Mario Kart is a little bit kind of, let's say, casual, because I've never been the biggest Mario Kart fan until the Nintendo Switch and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I only ever played Mario Kart at kind of friends' houses or at parties, and really just saw the game as pretty much that, a cute game to play couch co-op with at a party or with your friends. And it wasn't until Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that I realised how passionate fans are about the game and how competitive it can be. Nevertheless, my 30 or so hours playing Mario Kart 8 was mostly done in two-player couch co-op with my wife, or actually with a group of friends where we would, people would come over and we'd be like, oh, let's just boot up the Mario Kart and play because it's fun to play. And my wife and I would go through playing the game religiously every night for a month, and then we would put it down and not return to it for maybe half a year, and then we'd get the itch again and pick it up and keep playing. And I remember one of my favourite memories of playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was when it must have been probably in 2017, so the year the Switch released, or maybe 2018. Me and my wife did a holiday where we rented a car and drove from Vienna all the way through Austria and then into Switzerland. And as we went, we were camping in different towns and villages along the way. And I had the Switch with me and I had Mario Kart 8. So when it was, it got dark and too cold to sit outside, we would just go in the tent and just put the Switch in kind of tabletop mode, take the Joy-Cons and just play Mario Kart 8 together. And I remember specifically being sat in a place called Vaduz, which is the capital of Liechtenstein, and the campsite we were on was on a hill overlooking the town of Vaduz. And I remember just playing Mario Kart there, watching the sunset, and just thinking, oh, this is the life, right? Mario Kart 8 was very much kind of a game I played with my wife, and like I said, I only played probably 30 to 35 hours of it, which for any hardcore Mario fan is kind of that's no time at all. But even though I didn't play that much compared to a lot of Mario Kart players, I could still tell that the quality of the game kind of shone through and how good that game was, and that each of the tracks in the games felt meticulously designed. It was well themed, and the game was just an absolute blast to play, even after 35 hours, and after probably hundreds of hours that other people have played. It was still a joy to play. Jump forward to the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, and I was a little bit disappointed that the launch game for the system was going to be Mario Kart World, but as we've already talked about, it made a lot of sense because so many people bought it. But I was I was looking forward to trying out this much anticipated successor to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It was 11 years since the game Mario Kart 8 originally relaunched on the Wii in 2014. However, I did really want a single player meaty Nintendo game to be the launch game. I was hoping that as soon as we saw it, I was hoping Donkey Kong Bonanza would be that game, but obviously that got pushed back a little bit into July. And there was also the rumors of Metroid Prime releasing around launch, and I was like, okay, I would even prefer that to a Mario Kart game, and I would say I'm less of a Metroid Prime fan than I am Mario Kart. But I was like, I just want this tailored Nintendo experience, or single player experience, rather than just Mario Kart. I was like, okay, if I'm getting Mario Kart, give me something else to play. And yeah, the original plan for me was actually not to buy the Mario Kart World, especially after Nintendo announced that it was going to cost up to €90 for a physical collection, physical edition. And you might say, yeah, whatever, like they won't actually sell it for that much. No, I have seen it on shelves for €90 in Vienna, so which is €90 for Mario Kart World to me is for most video games is insane. But however, when the Switch 2 pre-orders went live, I did manage to get the console bundled with Mario Kart World, which made the game around €50, which was much more palatable. So yeah, that's how I ended up with the game. And since then I've basically been doing what I've always done with Mario Kart games and playing them couch co-op style with my wife. Together we've played about 10 hours of the game, and what I've been doing is going between playing with my wife and then playing other games. So the single player experience I went with when the Switch launched was Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, so I was mostly playing that, and then whenever my wife had time, or we were both kind of motivated to play, then we would just switch to Mario Kart. And it's the review. So the review will mostly be limited to offline versions. We have dabbled with the online. We've done a lot of online Knockout Tour actually. Like we played that quite a bit. I also played with some guys in the Beat Your Backlog Discord server. We played one night where we played on also Knockout Tour actually. Online too, so there will be a little bit about that, but most of the review will be limited to the offline version and mostly to Knockout Tour and Grand Prix. I haven't gone into the other modes. I don't really play the other modes, so this is coming out at the start of the episode. That this is mostly what the review will be about. So what is Mario Kart World? Was it worth the 11-year wait, and should you buy it? Let's find out in this week's episode of the Beat Your Backlog Podcast. But before we get into the episode, I would like to remind you that you can support the podcast on Patreon. If you do, you will gain access to all of my content 24 hours early, and you will unlock the Beat Your Backlog bonus vault, which will be filled up with exclusive podcast episodes only for Patreon supporters. If you're interested in supporting my one-man show, head over to patreon.com/beatyourbacklog or click the link in the description of this episode. There are only two tiers, $2 or $5. I didn't want to make it complicated. If you decide to support, thank you in advance, and also thank you to the people that are already supporting there. So yeah, Mario Kart World, was it worth the wait? And 11 years is a long time to wait for any video game. And I think it's quite crazy that the original Nintendo Switch never got its own Mario Kart game. And I guess you could argue that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it was the deluxe version, so it had everything packed in with it that came out on the Wii. And it also got quite a substantial amount of DLC for the game. So maybe that's why the demand for new Mario Kart was not that high. I also think maybe because the quality of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was another reason that people weren't really craving a new Mario Kart, because they're like, well, this one is pretty perfect. Maybe we don't need another one right now, just give us more tracks. However, I do think a lot of Nintendo fans were happy and probably not too surprised when Mario Kart World was shown off during the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. And the game has gone through a makeover since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, with its art style being updated and looking similar but different enough from its predecessors. And I really love that Nintendo has been shaking up the art style of their sort of first party games recently. I went into it a little bit in my Super Mario Wonder review and also Super Mario RPG review, that I really think that Nintendo, the Mario art style, I'm showing a video and my kind of antivirus stuff is like popping up, making sure it's not a deep fake. Weird. They've changed it up a little bit to make it feel a bit. I think they have the art styles have more character, because I think before they felt very sort of sterile and bland, and it just felt very, I don't know, template-ish. That it was, like the Mario games of the 3DS and Wii and Wii U, like they always had like this blank, almost like the transparent looking texture background, where it was just like, okay, it's a white background with Mario, Toad, Luigi, the same like blocks, like, oh, there's a question mark block, here's some green grass blocks. Like it was always the same assets reused over and over again, that just made the games feel very samey and very kind of, like they don't really have much charisma, or it's hard to tell which game is which, especially with the 2D Mario games, because they all look so similar. The only difference is this one has this sort of item, and this one has the other one. And yeah, and I think Nintendo have realized that, and they're sort of like, okay, we are going to change it up. And the first game they did it with was Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Now they've done it with Mario Kart World, which people, I guess, during the reveal were a bit like, why are they changing it? Especially for Donkey Kong, that was like a big thing of like, now they've made Donkey Kong look more like his original sort of art from the whenever it was, the 80s or 70s. And then they've done that now in Bonanza 2, which I think is great. I think Donkey Kong looks fantastic now. I never liked Donkey Kong, how he looked before. I was like, this doesn't even look like an ape. Like, it's just a weird, angry looking polygon shape. But yeah, so it's great that they've decided to update the art style and make it look nicer and just more I don't know, more memorable. So yeah, I'm very happy how that turned out with the game. And furthermore, and arguably an even bigger change to Mario Kart 8 from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is that Mario Kart World is based in a huge open world. And yes, all of the tracks you race on in the game are actually real roads you can drive in a massive open world. And if you've ever played any Forza Horizon games, or at least the modern ones, it's quite similar to that. So what's potentially even cooler is you can explore the open worlds with friends in a free run mode, which lets you drive around, practice races, and attempt things called P-block challenges, which if you've played any Mario game before, you'll know what that is. They are little mini challenges to collect trickily placed coins around the world in a short period. And I was very excited when Nintendo announced this new game mode. I really thought this will be the thing that sets Mario Kart World aside from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because like I said, I think Mario Kart 8 is so well designed. The tracks are so memorable. It was like, okay, how do you add on to that? And I thought making an open world portion of the game would be that. Like I said, I'm a really big fan of Forza Horizon 4 and 5 and how what is it, Playground games sort of have elevated that to make it like a driving RPG where you are exploring this world, but then all of a sudden you'll find a rate to get into just a random race that just spawns a random track, and you kind of racing against these people, or there are secrets to find, there are new cars to find in the environment. Like, it's just so cool how they managed to make such a playground out of these worlds for in a driving game. And I really hoped Mario Kart would be like that too. I was thinking of like, oh yeah, there'd be these worlds these cities to explore. There would be these NPCs that you obviously know, like Toad would be there and be like, I need you to deliver this pizza across the map, and you have to do it within in a certain amount of time, almost like a little bit of maybe like Crazy Taxi, where you are trying to take shortcuts, doing jumps, doing boosts to get there in the fastest time available. And then you would then have, which they announced in the reveal, like you would be then unlocking outfits for characters that way. And I thought that would be really cool, and that maybe, you are just cruising along and then you see, I don't know, Yoshi in his little cart, and he's like looking at you, and you beep your horn, and that means, okay, we're going to start a race. And then like in Horizon, there would be just a random racetrack would be generated, and you and Yoshi have to race as fast as you can, like along this race track to get to the goal, and whoever wins whatever. And I think unfortunately this really wasn't the case with the free roam mode. It is literally just, here is a free roam mode of this massive open world that we've made. It feels very, very undercooked, and just feels like a practice map that you can play in, rather than the RPG Mario Kart I was hoping for. It's just a bit disappointing that I really don't really understand why they made a massive, like an actual open world map and they don't really give you that much to do in it. Like, yes, there are the P-block challenges, and yes, you can unlock costumes in it, but I really think the way costumes are unlocked is just really bad. Like, that you basically, how you unlock them is there are these bags of food at the Yoshi Burger trucks that you get, and you drive through them and you get an item that is food, and then you eat the food, and if you haven't already eaten that food, you will then get a new outfit. So it might be that, like, if you eat the pizza one, your character will get like an Italian themed outfit. So like Luigi has the the people, what they call the people in Venice that row the boats. He basically has an outfit like that when you eat the pizza. And yeah, I do think like one of the biggest misses is how you unlock these outfits. Like I really think they could have made missions that make it more interesting to unlock specific outfits, where you can be like, okay, I'm gonna go to Wario, I'm gonna play as Wario and go to Waluigi, and know that if I do this mission, I get this outfit. Whereas how it is now, it's just like you just get a random item and then a random outfit for it, which I think is just it just doesn't feel very, very good. It just feels too random. And yeah, like I said, all it really is to do in the free run mode is drive around the map. You can take photos in photo mode. You can do it with friends as well, which is nice. And as I said before, you can do the P-block challenges. But to be honest, these are all things that I don't really want to do in the Mario Kart game. And yes, it's cool that you can just practice tracks there, and without actually having to have a race, and you can fine tune your shortcuts and jumps, which we'll talk about a bit later. But I really wanted this mod to be one of the main mods of the game, not just like a nice little addition that you can play if you're bored. And yeah, getting back to the costumes and how they're distributed, I think is very strange. So the costumes are distributed randomly. Like obviously the more important characters have more costumes, but the game has such a huge roster of characters that it means that then the less important characters have less costumes. So you know, like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Wario, Waluigi, they have lots and lots of costumes that you're always unlocking, and they look really, really cool. But the supporting characters, like the one I was really looking forward to playing was Cow. You know, like the Cow became kind of like a meme after Mario Kart World was released, and I was like, okay, cool, that's going to be my main character. I'm excited to see what kind of costumes they make for it. And yeah, the Cow only has one costume, which is it wearing a hat. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really want to play as the Cow because I've already unlocked its costume. I was looking forward to unlocking more. But since I've already got it, I'm not going to play as a Cow now. I'm going to play as another character, which I guess is nice, like that it does motivate you to try different characters. But, you know, it's Mario Kart, and I think the character you choose usually kind of shows off your sort of personality for what kind of person you are, like who you like. Like I always used to pick Waluigi, but I was like, okay, I'm in for a change. And yeah, it's just a shame that not everyone gets as many costumes. And I think it would have been easy to make lots of costumes for lots of different for all of the characters, because the costumes that the main characters get aren't necessarily like canon costumes that this costume's from Mario Sunshine, this costume's from Mario 64, this costume's from, I don't know, but Mario and Luigi's, Bowser's inside. So it's not like they're tied to specific games. So these supporting characters don't have more games that they can draw inspiration from. It's like Mario has a racing outfit, he has a holiday outfit, he has a what does he have? He has like a space outfit, I think. So they could have just done more than just give the Cow a hat. Like, oh, why not give him, I don't know, make him into a cowboy or something like that, you know? Or just like a little crab that you can play as. It's like, why don't you make that into a pirate themed outfit? Give it something like that, be a bit more creative. So yeah, I think that would have made the game more interesting to me. Is like give characters more outfits, and also give you more of like a sort of like a agency of how you unlock these outfits, rather than just having to find a random item and then randomly hope that you get the outfit that you're looking for. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, talking about that and the amount of outfits, there are over 100 different characters and costumes to unlock in the game. But yeah, I do wish they were a bit better distributed. And in addition, there are 40 new carts to unlock in the game, and I really do love the cart designs in the game. They feel way more detailed and have sort of charm and character to the carts that it was lacking from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe you could customize your kart, so you could choose like the kart, the wheels, and the glider, I think. That isn't in the game anymore. It's just that like each kart has their own specific stats. But yeah, I do think that is a little bit of a bad change. It definitely makes the karts feel more memorable because of their designs, because you aren't chopping and changing them. But also, in my opinion, I do feel like the karts all pretty much feel the same to drive in the game. Like I said, I'm not that much into Mario Kart where I notice like small percentiles of changes to control or speed or acceleration. So to me, I'm just like, all right, this kart A feels exactly the same as kart B between two different races. And yeah, and I think it's a shame, because I think it's basically you lose out on a lot of strategy whilst building the karts, because what I used to have my own preset that I would always play. Like I would always play with the beetle shaped car on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the really small wheels, because I really liked the amount of control it gave me. And it was always like the thing of like, if I went to a friend's house or I was playing on someone else's Switch, I would always make sure I had that build, because I felt like that gave me the best chance to win. In this game, I'm mostly just choosing which cart I think looks the best at that time, or I'm just choosing, because you unlock carts so quickly in the game by collecting, it's like every 100 coins you collect, you get a new cart, and just playing the newest cart that I've got, because I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's new, it looks cool, let's play that one. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of a shame, because I felt like the strategy before in Mario Kart 8 made you feel like you had a little bit of an upper edge if you had a pre-build that you always played, whereas in this game it just kind of feels like whatever, they all feel the same, so I'm just going to choose something random. And I think it also means that like not just that kind of strategy and design is a little bit worse in this game. I do think the design of the different race courses throughout the game, it has suffered a lot because of the open world. During any Grand Prix, there's only one or maximum two tracks that are custom made race tracks, where you have multiple loops of the same track. So like, the free loop races, which Mario Kart is famous for. And the rest are just courses that have been taken like sections of the open world and link up these race tracks or race tracks. Instead of having 4 racetracks that all have 3 laps, you now have maybe 2 that have 3 laps, and then 2 that are just long straight race, like road races to the next track. In the open world of Forza Horizon, they do this too. I talked about before, if you drive past a challenger and you beep your horn, a random race will start, and it'll just generate it where you are and be like, okay, here's 5 kilometers of racetrack on these random roads. However, which I think is, in that sense, is cool, that you're driving around the open world and you just want to have a random race, and it just creates a random course. But Nintendo really shouldn't have used this idea in their Grand Prix mode, in my opinion, because I really think it feels lazy and uninspired when many of these tracks are just, frankly, just boring, like straight races. There are multiple instances in multiple tracks like this where you are just driving for a long section without doing anything, literally just driving straight. Like, there's no drifting needed, there's no gliding, there's no grinding. You're just driving in a straight line. There's not even any items, or sometimes not even any obstacles. It's just literally a straight section of the track where nothing happens. And I really feel like this shouldn't happen in a Mario Kart game. There should always be something happening where you were getting an item, you were throwing an item, you were grinding, you're going over jumps, you're boosting this. But there are just multiple times where this just doesn't happen, and it just feels so much like filler. Like these, I feel like 50% of the tracks in Grand Prix just feel like filler, and just almost feel like Nintendo was just like, all right, wait, we have some deadline to meet, let's just put something in there to fill the roster. And which is random, because this game has had such a long time not a long time in development, but it's been such a long time between different games. And I know I think the team worked on the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but still, I don't think the game was rushed. Like, I think this was like another one of those games where they're like, oh yeah, we've been polishing it for like a year, and it just feels so bad that that the tracks just don't feel like custom made. They just feel like, oh well, this is what we have, we've linked them up with these roads, and let's just use those for the Grand Prix. And I think also some of the tracks, they have obstacles in them where it's just traffic driving towards you, and again, in the same sort of lethargic way, like they come at you, and they use this over and over and over again in loads of different races where you're like, oh my god, like it really makes it like hard to remember which racetrack is which, because there's so many where cars are just driving at you very slowly, where you're like, okay, why are they just reusing it? It's like the worst obstacle in the game. Why are they just using it? And again, it just feels a bit lazy, where they're like, oh well, we need an obstacle. Well, we have these cars and these assets, let's just put those in, so there's something for the player to kind of drive around. But it just doesn't feel creative or whimsical like Mario Kart usually does, or it just feels like, okay, yeah, this is just filler to fill out the Grand Prix. And yes, of course, there are some good race courses in the game. I really like Cheap Falls and how hectic it feels driving down the rivers and jumping over waterfalls. And in addition, Boo Cinema, which is like a haunted mansion / cinema where you drive along the old movie reels. Feels like the standout and a memorable course in the game. That feels like the most unique and sort of creative the creative track where they're like, okay, we're taking like the haunted house and mix it with a cinema to make something completely new, which is really cool. And of course they also have a very good Rainbow Road, which is, I think it looks to be like very inspired by the Mario Bros movie, where like in that movie, Rainbow Road gets smashed and falls into the ocean, and that's kind of how Rainbow Road looks in this game. However, that's about it. Whereas Mario Kart 8, I felt like every course was brilliant and memorable, as well as every Grand Prix. This game just doesn't really have that. I don't have a favorite Grand Prix. They even reuse Moo Moo Meadows in this game, which I think is just so why did they reuse it? Because I'm pretty sure Moo Moo Meadows wasn't from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think they reused that in that game, and now they've reused it again. Which I think this makes it worse, because I think that is probably my favorite track ever, is Moo Moo Meadows. But they literally just reuse a track. They obviously updated the graphics, but there's nothing different about it. It's just the same track reused again. And to say that is one of the 3x3 race courses, that they had to reuse one from a previous game, which I'm pretty sure reused it from another Mario Kart game, it just really is concerning. What have they been doing all of this time? The game has been in development, and they couldn't come up with a full roster of 3 lap tracks. It's just really strange. And another thing is, I think there should just be a filter where you can say, I only want to play 3 lap tracks. I don't want to play any of these filler tracks, these link up tracks, the link between the 3 laps. I just want to have that. And I think it's just it's just a shame. It makes the game feels like it's the biggest Mario Kart ever, because it has a big open world, but the open world is just boring and empty. And then within the open world, they haven't even really done the thing that is I think the minimum required for Mario Kart, which is have a lot of good racetracks. I was expecting they would have Mario Kart 8 levels of really good racetracks. Then on top of that, they would have the open world. But it's just they just don't hit anything. It's just it feels like they are what is it, the thing of all trades. I can't remember what they say. Is it a jack of all trades, right? A jack of all trades, but master of none. It's they have all of these things, but they just haven't done anything really well. And another couple of design decisions that I think have really diminished the Grand Prix in the games are making it so that races are 24 players, and that the races are very heavily dependent on using shortcuts. And I really don't see the point of making the races 24 players in Grand Prix mode. In solo mode, it just makes it frustrating, because when you might be winning a race, get hit by a red shell, and then end up going from 1st to 13th because there were so many people in the race. And then you're just wondering, how on earth did I lose so many positions so quickly? And it also, I think, is very annoying, is that when you are playing the races solo, this never seems to happen to the AI. It's programmed that there is one AI racer for each Grand Prix that always wins, and you're basically just racing against that one character, because the other ones, it doesn't matter. But that character never ever drops back out of the top 3 positions. It doesn't matter. I've tried it where I've just been stalking it and just smashing it with shells and whatever, and it still at the end will just kind of come back and almost win, which I just think is weird. I did like the challenge that okay, the races are quite hard to get first place in, or get first place on the Grand Prix, but it is just really bad, where you just feel okay, this guy is just, it's just a cheat bot, that it just never really gets hindered too much. Whereas I said, with you get hit by one red shell, and you are so far back, it's just weirdly annoying. And I think as well, when I was playing online recently, I never found races where 24 players were actually in them. So last night when I was playing, the most we got was 16. It just shows that and I think this might be because of knockout mode, which we'll talk about, knockout tour, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's just it just makes having it with so many characters or so many races, it really makes it feel the result of the race is really down to luck and not skill or strategy, unless you know all of the convoluted shortcuts in the game. And I know that shortcuts are part of Mario Kart history, and of course, like, tracks should have them. However, in this game, I feel like you need like a PhD in physics to work out how to take some of them. So it might be like, all right, what you have to do is you have to have these very specific items, and then you grind on this rail. You do 3 jumps to the right, and then you do a jump forward, then you land on a wall, use a mushroom, drive along the wall, do 2 left jumps onto another wall, then do 2 jumps forward onto a rail, use a feather to double jump onto another rail, land on that rail, do another jump off back onto the road, and then you've done a shortcut. And I think like it's very cool that it's possible to do this, and that some players can do it pretty consistently. It's just sad that I'm not one of those players, because I don't really have the time to practice and learn the magic of using these tricks. So it makes it feel a bit unfair that if you're playing online, you know that you are never really ever going to win a race, because you can't compete with players that can do all of these shortcuts. And I think it just makes it like a bit too fancy, and winning races depends too much on them. And I know like using shortcuts is always like, if you know the shortcuts, you always have an upper hand. But this is really like in the all of the races, just cutting across grass feels so overpowered compared to using any other item. Like, the only decent items in the game are the red mushrooms or the gold mushroom, because they let you boost over terrain that usually slows you down, and that's all you need to do to like win the Grand Prix. Like when I first was doing the Grand Prix, I was like, drifting and boosting and whatever was coming in like 3rd or 4th, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna literally cut corners, and that was what was getting me to win. So it just feels like the game isn't really focused on how good of a racer you are. It's more like how much can you cheese the game, how many like little snippets of racetrack can you cut off to get further ahead, which I think is a shame. And yeah, so far this review has been quite negative, so let's talk about some positives of the game. After all, it is a Mario Kart game, so even with all of these issues I've discussed, it's still a blast to play, and at the end of the day, still fun. I started writing this review at the start of August, and still my wife and I are playing a Grand Prix or 2 at least 2 nights a week. It's kind of become our chill out and relax game, even though sometimes the competitiveness can make it a bit more stressful. And we play it whenever when our daughter's gone to bed, and we're kind of like, all right, now we have some time together, let's play some Mario Kart. And furthermore, it's been really fun seeing my wife relearning the game and getting better at it over the last couple of months. Like I said, we probably haven't played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in years, so it's cool that she's relearned it, and it is competitive, and I actually have to like pay attention to make sure that I'm still up there with a chance to win, because she's gotten so good at it. And in addition, the new Knockout Tour mode is fantastic, and though I'm not very good at it, that is definitely the highlight and gives Mario Kart World a reason to exist, in my opinion. And if you don't know what Knockout Tour is, it's a new mode introduced in Mario Kart World where 24 racers all take part in an extra long race across the new Mario Kart World. The catch is, along the race, there are checkpoints with positions on them. So like the first one is 20th place, the second one is 16th, I think the next one is 12th. And if you are not higher than that position when you hit the checkpoint, you are out of the game. So you're out of the race, and that's the end of the race for you. So it's kind of sort of think of it as a racing battle royale, where it goes down to eventually 2 players, and whoever comes first is the winner. And the races go on either until you are knocked out or eventually crown the winner. And I'm pretty sure this mechanic isn't new, to Mario Kart. It's been borrowed from Forza Horizon, because I'm pretty sure they did something very similar to it. But it does work really, really well in Mario Kart, and it makes it open world. The massive open world makes sense, because you need these extra long races for this mode, which it can take up to 20 minutes per race if you're really good at racing. And in addition, it adds an extra level of competitiveness and craziness to races, where you are hoping to outsmart or damage your opponents at the last minute to make sure you get over a checkpoint before they do. I think it's great that Knockout Mode has been added to freshen up Mario Kart World. However, after having the game for about 2 months, I'm already starting to feel a bit bored of it. So like I said, I think it was like, what will the game add on top of like of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? What will they add on top to make it feel different? I thought the open world was a thing, and Knockout Tour is definitely a thing that they've added, and definitely does make the game feel unique and different. And it's a great mode, and Also explains why there are 24 players in it, because you know, in this mode you need more players to make the races longer and feel more chaotic. And again, yeah, it's funny because in this mode it doesn't feel as bad, like not knowing the shortcuts, because the mode feels very, very chaotic, where you're like, you kind of, you can see ahead of you the group of, it's like if you've ever watched a cycling race, there's like the leading group, and if you get knocked back you can still see this group, and because there are so many players it's a big group, and it's very chaotic all the time. And I don't know if this was in the original game, in Mario Kart 8, but one thing I noticed is like when you have items rotating around you, if you drive into a player you get hit by them, and I feel like it happens all the time in this game because there are so many players, always densely compact. So if you're in this group, it's really dangerous, because you don't want to get hit by anyone with like rotating items like a green shell, because you'll just get hit and end up at the back of the race. But yeah, I think that just in Knockout Tour it makes the game feel way more fun, because you're kind of like, I don't know, you're in like 10th position and you're like, okay, cool, I need to be above 16th, and then you'll get hit and be back in 17th. You're like, oh shit, I need to like get ahead to make sure that I'm into the next checkpoint, which yeah, it does feel very cool in this game. But like I said, even though the mode feels cool, I do feel bored with Mario Kart World. It feels like it's very undercooked, almost as if some features could not make it in time for its release. And I imagine this was definitely not the case. Nintendo, I think, definitely shipped the game that they wanted to. However, I feel the game needs to be updated and continuously added to. And I think I'm surprised they haven't done it already. Like they need to show some kind of roadmap or pipeline of like, these are new tracks or new characters or new costumes that are going to be added to the game in the future. And even just some updates to quality of life, things like being able to maybe build your own Grand Prix race out of all of the different races that you have, or even just letting you tweak how many races you want to have in a race would be amazing, where you can be like, nah, I want like classic mode that has 12 races. Or like I said, like have some kind of toggle or some filter that's like only give me races with these racetracks in it. That would be really nice. And it really makes me wonder if the game will get DLC. I think Mario Kart 8 got it twice, like first on the Wii U, and then it got like lots and lots of waves of DLC on the Switch. So I think Nintendo will definitely be open to doing DLC to Mario Kart World. I think it will get it, and I hope it's the case, because I am having fun with the game, but I do feel like it needs a bit more like high quality tracks added to it. And I get the feeling that this is the case with a lot of players, because the buzz surrounding Mario Kart World seems to have just died off almost instantly after its release. Whereas with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, people were talking about it for months. Like I remember, like people were still organizing tournaments for months and months after Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out, and it was like such a big thing. Whereas with Mario Kart World, it just seems to have been the week of the Switch launch, people were talking about it, and then it was like, okay, let's move on to something else now, because I think it is I think people just got bored. I think you have fun because it's Mario Kart. Like all of the Mario Kart things that you expect are there, and it is Mario Kart at the end of the day. So you have fun playing it, but it just really just isn't a game that is sticking with me, and I don't think sticking with a lot of players, which is a shame, because like I said at the start of the episode, I think this is probably one of the more anticipated games ever. I really thought this game was going to come out and be like a 10 out of 10. I thought they were going to be like, okay, they've learned everything they've learned from Deluxe, they're going to put it into this game, but then elevate it with Knockout Tour, with the open world free roam. And they just didn't do that. They just sort of, like I said, they did a good job with Knockout Tour, but everything else just feels so sort of mid, and feels a little bit like filler, like they spent maybe too much time designing this open world, and we're like, oh, okay, now we haven't designed enough tracks. And it would be interesting to see, like, I honestly think they should put out some free updates, and I think they should announce it soon, because I think this game will just kind of disappear into the wind, especially with like Donkey Kong coming out, and the new Pokemon coming out soon, Metroid Prime. Nintendo has quite a strong lineup of games for the rest of 2025, and I think Mario Kart World is just going to be forgotten. Like Mario Kart World should have been in the discussion from Game of the Year, in my opinion. But I just don't think it will be this year. Like maybe for like Family Game of the Year, but it won't be like in the discussion for the Game of the Year, which I think Donkey Kong probably will be. Metroid Prime might be. So it's a shame. But should you buy Mario Kart World? And if you already own a Nintendo Switch 2, I would not recommend buying Mario Kart World yet. The game feels good to play. After all, it is a Mario Kart, but to me, it feels a little bit undercooked, which is strange to say for a game that has been in development for so long. The new open world on paper seems like a great addition to the game. However, in reality, the open world feels too big with not enough things to do other than sightsee, practice shortcuts, and do the odd P-block challenge here and there. In my opinion, using tracks in quotation marks from the open world within the game's Grand Prix was a massive mistake, giving me the feeling that Nintendo added them as filler rather than creating new bespoke tracks that we are used to from Mario Kart games. Nevertheless, the new edition of the Knockout Tour is massive. It does modernize the franchise and gives a new way to play that is on par or perhaps now has even surpassed its traditional race mode when playing online. In addition, the new familiar but updated graphics the game has feels full of character, colour and charisma, which I think other modern Mario Karts have lacked. That being said, racing itself may rely too much on cheesing by learning long and intricate shortcuts that, in my opinion, give players an unfair advantage. It is impressive that players manage to work out these shortcuts and master them. However, this all takes a lot of time, so if you are a casual player like me jumping into an online race, you pretty much have a 0% chance of winning. I hope there will be some post-launch support for the game. I don't think it needs to be a live service, but adding some new tracks, costumes, characters, and quality of life changes would go a long way to making Mario Kart World feel close to the heights of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Honestly, playing Mario Kart World makes me want to go back and play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because it feels pretty close to perfection. Therefore, if I was you, I would not go out and spend 80 or 90 euros on Mario Kart World, just go and play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe instead. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for listening to episode 71 of the Beat Your Backlog podcast. What did you think of Mario Kart World? Did you pick it up with the Switch 2? Did you get it in the bundle? Are you waiting to get a Switch 2? And if so, are you planning to buy Mario Kart World then? If you are a Spotify, Patreon, or YouTube listener, you can let me know by commenting on the episode. And if you are listening elsewhere, let me know on social media by @me on Blue Sky. If you just search for Beat Your Backlog on there. Or you can come and join the Beat Your Backlog Discord server, the link of which is in the description. Also, if you're interested, you can check out my full written review of the game over on Patreon. The link will be in the description of this podcast. And speaking of Patreon, if you have enjoyed the episode and would like to show your support, consider joining my Patreon at the $2 or $5 tier. If you do, you will get access to all of my content 24 hours early before everyone else and get access to my Patreon exclusive podcast, Beat Your Bonus. The next episode will be coming soon, and in it I will be showing you guys my entire physical collection of video games, which I think is going to be fun because I don't consider myself really a physical collector, but I do own a lot of physical games. So yeah, I'm kind of interested myself to go through it and sort of remind myself which games I own physically. So if you're interested, do consider becoming a patron, I should say, to see that episode. And yeah, if you're in the mood to listen to more content about Nintendo's lovable Italian plumber, check out episode 54 of the podcast about Super Mario RPG, or episode 19 about Super Mario Wonder. And finally, if you enjoyed the episode, please do leave us a 5-star review wherever you are listening, or if you're on YouTube, make sure you thumbs up and like the episode and subscribe or follow for more. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye.